I pulled this ligament or something in my shoulder here, and it is killing me, and I have a hard time. At night, it's unbearable. I'm up at night, and then the other night, I was like, hey, I told Deb, my arm feels really good. I think the Lord healed me. It's like, it's amazing. And then I woke up and it hurt. I was like, oh, Lord. But whatever. I was like, I'm still believing for a miracle. It was a temporary miracle there. So I don't know. I don't know what that was. We've been talking about, we've been walking through Ephesians. And according to Eric, it's been like 17 months of Ephesians. But and then we took a little pause to talk about community, and we jump our small groups out, and so the small groups have been or the life we call them life groups have been really exciting. I've been moving out into a new apartment, so we haven't started ours. We're going to have one. So if you want to sign, if you haven't signed up, I think Jerry's the only one that signed up, right, Deb? I don't know. And then we keep canceling it. But anyway, we'll have one. And one of the things that we talk about in community is being able to like really love each other strong and be committed to each other, and having a real relationship that is not just superficial but deep, real relationship. And we've been talking about the last few weeks on what would that life group look like, and what does the Bible say about these things. There was a very interesting video study done in 1944. And in 1944, they got three groups of people, like one group of 20, 34, one group of 40, one group of 50. It's called the experimental study of apparent behavior. And you can Google it. It's really interesting. Maybe you can Google that, Eric. Can you Google it? It's called, you got it? It's a experimental study of apparent behavior. And basically, it's 1944, so their technology was limited. And they had these images, a box, and like a triangle. It's kind of like asteroids. Who remembers asteroids? Yeah, Glenn. We're old. And so anyway, Asteroids is a super awesome game, by the way, vintage. And so, and they show this video to these three groups of people, and basically they asked them at the end, what do you think that was? And people had all these weird imagery. There was talk about how, like, one guy says it's like a gorilla chasing a monkey, or another one thought it was just some weird stuff. But only one person came up with the. There it is. Okay, let's watch this a second. Basically, that's it. Everyone was asked. That's high tech. That's high tech in 1944. So what do you guys see there? And so there's only one right answer, right? There's only one right answer. And so what happens is, it's so weird. So what happens is people were like, found themselves getting angry at the box. And some people got angry at the other triangle that was attacking them, like a hen picking a smaller hen. And it was all over the place. One guy saw gorillas there. I don't know how you could see a gorilla in there. So what happened was, there's only one real answer. And that answer is that it's three geometrical figures moving on a plane. That's basically what it is. And so people would just jump to conclusions. They said, hey, well, that means this. And it's, group A, they would discuss it. No, I saw. And even today, people watch it. You look at it, and some people will get angry. Like, how dare that box close them out, how dare they put them on a bus and send them to Martha's Vineyard. And so anyway. And they get all upset, and with all these things. But basically, it's three geometrical figures moving across a plane. And And that's what happens to us when we look at something without knowing the facts. A few years ago, I was coming out of my office upstairs at the old church. I was coming down my office. I went down the stairs. I turned a corner. There's that door there. To the right was that glass office. Do you remember that glass office there? I walked through there. I walked into the auditorium, and I was just like today. Today, when everyone was giving the announcements, I was outside. And Carlos says, I didn't mean to disturb your prayer. Because I wasn't praying, I was texting someone. I was literally texting Henry Sanudo. I'm not even joking. Okay, we'll tell you a little about that later. But anyway, Henry Sanudo is the Olympic, he's a big deal in our home. But anyway, so I walked through the lobby, I went in, and at that time, I only would preach like once every 5 weeks, once every 6 weeks on a Sunday morning. So it would be, I get nervous now, but back then it was like, so nervous. And Pastor John would always sit in the front row and tap his leg, and he'd really make me nervous. Like right now he's over there chewing his gum harder and harder, And I was like, I was always nervous. I would be sweating. It would be cold, but I'd be sweating. And whatever, I didn't even think nothing of it. Weeks later, a guy says, remember that one Sunday you preached? This is weeks later. I said, I did. I do. I'm very upset at you. So why? You walked right by me and didn't even greet me. I'm sorry, I don't even remember. I remember preaching that day. You walked through the lobby and we had eye contact. And you looked into my eyes. And I was like, no, dude, I don't remember any of this. I don't even remember you in the lobby. I would have bet $1 million that the lobby was empty when I walked through it because everyone was in worship. No, I didn't. I don't remember. Yes, and I can't believe you did that. And he's upset at me. And I'm thinking, why are you upset at me? Well, now I'm thinking about leaving the church because how can it be you're going to be one of the pastors I'm preaching on Sunday and you don't even greet me? And I'm like, dude, maybe you should go to another church because I'm losing my mind because I don't even remember. Sorry, dude. And so that's what happens to all of us. People jump to this conclusion so fast. We get so caught up with things. I do the same thing. I see someone at church on Sunday, then I don't see him for a few Sundays, and I wonder if I said something that offended them. Maybe I said something about Nancy Pelosi and they got mad. Or maybe I said something about Greg Abbott and they got mad. I don't know who gets mad, I don't even, it's so like, I was like, and no, they've been scheduled to work for 3 weeks in a row. Like I text Gordon this morning. Say, Gordon, where you at? You going to be at church? No, I have to work. Well, I was like, man, I would have been wondering right now, man, I wonder why Gordon's not here. I wonder if Liberty and Gordon got an argument last night. Yeah, she probably says, you stay home. That's my church. I was there first. You just come to those conclusions, right? And I just think and I come to, and we all have that because we all have been gifted with a fake gift called mind reading. We think we can read people's minds. And I was telling my wife this weekend, I was telling her, hey, Simmer, nice shoes, by the way. Dang, that's some. Anyway, I was telling my wife, I said, when we first started dating and we got married, I would always tell her, you can't read my mind, so don't jump to that conclusion. You can't read my mind. And I said, I can't read your mind, so if you need something done, be specific because I'm not good at this. And I'd always say that, but as we got married, I forgot to practice that in my life. And I jumped to conclusions. She jumps to conclusions because we start reading each other's mind. Because especially when you've been married 30 years and, I already know. I know, but no, we don't know. Proverbs 18:2, this is a really interesting passage. Fools find no pleasure. By the way, last Sunday, I always do black background, white letters. But last Sunday, Eric did this color, and it came out a lot nicer. And I thought, much better, Eric. So I switched because it looks so bright in here. Good job, Eric. Your sermon was okay too. No, you did awesome in your sermon. I loved it. Fools find no pleasure in understanding, but delight in airing their own opinions. You know, fool here, it says, they don't really care about understanding you. They just want to tell you what they think. They don't care about the breakdown of communication in a relationship. They don't care about that. They just want to tell you what they're thinking. What's going on with me? They don't care about you. And so what happens is that if we're not willing to sit down and have real conversation with people, we're going to be like this fool that makes dumb assumptions with people because we think we know what they're thinking or what's on their mind, right? Another passage, the same chapter, Proverbs 18, it says, to answer before listening, that is a folly and shame. You know, I've been really wanting to, maybe like 3 years ago, or right before COVID hit, a good friend of mine, Steve Martinez, him and I talk all the time, and he was telling me about this guy that he read, his book that he read by Pete Cicero, whatever. And he started telling me about the book, and we were talking about it a lot. So I started listening to his podcast. Now he has a new version of that podcast. It's shorter. Basically, it was his old sermons. And he talked about one sermon about how it's important to slow down and really think before you say stuff, right? So I've been practicing that for 4 or 5 years now, maybe 6 years, trying to slow down and take a deep breath and then make sure what I'm going to say is what I really want to say and I'm not just shooting off the hip, right, or whatever. Well, that has caused a problem in the last couple of years also because I pause and people begin to talk. And I'm like, wait, I'm not done. Right? Well, you paused because I'm thinking this out correctly. I want to say something that's worth hearing. Let me pause a little bit. And it just, and now it's annoying, right? And I think that I've realized that I need to get a little faster, but that practice is a good practice. But there's people that they just want to, they're not really listening to you. They just want to wait till you to stop talking so they could fill the space. We have a friend that plays saxophone. He's an awesome sax player. He's amazing. So we were talking one day over dinner, and I was telling him, hey, you have this thing that empty space means you have to fill it. And I don't agree with that style of playing. The song has places for sax, and sometimes it doesn't. And you could just remove the sax from your mouth and let the guitar or whatever. Now, he didn't have that philosophy. He wants to fill every spot with saxophone music. And he's amazing. I just don't enjoy it. And I think that there's times where we get caught up in that, just filling space just to hear our voice. And sometimes we answer people without really listening to them. We give bad advice because we're not listening to them. We're thinking they're saying something, but they're not really saying what we're thinking because we haven't listened to them, right? So when we're in a community group, our life group, or even life, husband, wife, children, whatever, it's super important that we listen to the person that we're talking to. But just here it is. Okay, let's go on. Another verse. The heart of the discerner acquires knowledge. The ears of the wise seek it out. We just need to learn to hear what people are saying, because if we don't, we could jump to conclusions. And here's a big thing. The 9th commandment, it basically says you shall not give false testimony against your neighbor, right? Basically, the commandment that God gives us are like the worst thing, right? Well, you shouldn't beat up someone on the street, right? That's bad. But the worst thing is killing them. Don't murder, right? So the idea behind this is that, there's things that we could say that are, like, do I look good in this dress? Yeah, you do. You don't have to say, oh, no, you look horrible, right? Whatever. But the thing is when we bring false testimony against someone, it's breaking God's law. Because here's the deal. What happens is God's people were in captivity, right? They're in captivity. They were under Egyptian rule. Moses came in and they followed Moses out. They crossed the Red Sea. A bunch of miracles happened, and they're out. And so now they're in the desert, and God says to them, now I want to establish some rules of life for you guys. What I'm going to establish is for you guys some rules for you to live in harmony with each other. So this is why I'm giving you these very basic 10 commandments. But one of them is don't give false testimony against your brother. So here's a slave community. They're slaves. And they're coming out of freedom. They're learning all kinds of things. They were under slavery. Now they have this freedom. And it's important for them to understand how to get along with other people. And one thing, we cannot lie about other people. And so what happens is, when we are jumping to conclusions on what people are thinking, it's a lie. Because it may not be true. And if I repeat that, I'm bearing false testimony on someone. Does that kind of make sense to you guys? So here we are in a community group, right? We're in our community group, our life group. We're sitting in life group, and we're talking about whatever. And it's important for us to listen to what's happening in the group so that we could give a proper advice, or we can understand the person better. Because if we don't, we can jump to conclusions. And then if I share that with someone else, now I'm sharing a lie. If I believe something that's false about someone, and it really is false, and I share that about someone, it's a lie. And it's giving false testimony, and I break one of the big commandments, right? So in our church, right, we need to not tell false things about others. In our community, we can't bear false witness against someone, but especially in our life group. We need to learn to share with each other, learn about each other, not jump to conclusions. And with your spouse, especially, you need to have a better understanding of what they're thinking, because they need to tell you what they're thinking. I can't read my wife's mind. The other day, she got mad about some yogurt. Remember, Seth? And she was mad about the yogurt. And I was like, I don't know. Tom Thumb is half a block away. We'll go buy some yogurt for you. I don't want no yogurt. Well, then if you don't want yogurt, don't get mad at me. I don't understand what the big deal was. A week later, we're still talking about it, right? And she goes, you don't understand. That's right. It's been already established. I have no idea what you're talking about. I want to know what you're talking about, but I'm not getting it. All I know is no yogurt equals you mad. Right? And then you ate all the yogurt. I didn't. Yes, you did. Just because I'm the fattest person in the house doesn't mean I eat all the food. Seth ate all the yogurt. And he didn't deny it. Look at him, man. I don't get it. Real community happens when we're willing to take time to hear and to learn about someone else and not just jump to conclusions. It's super, super, super important. When we jump to a conclusion or we believe a story that's based on an opinion and we share that, we're sharing falsities and lies. So that's why for that guy that came to me and said, I can't believe you didn't greet me in the lobby, and if he shared that with someone, he just lied about me. I was nervous. I was worried about getting in the auditorium in time. I was not. Okay, was it rude? Probably not to say hi to him. Yes, no question. but I didn't even notice him. But for him to repeat it to someone else is now bearing false testimony against me. And when we do that with each other, even if we are saying it in love, we're bearing false testimony, and we have to stop and get better at that. Check this out. In a lawsuit, the first to speak seems right until someone comes forward with a cross-examines. Right? You hear, how many watch Amber Heard and Johnny Depp trial? I did. Man, I was all in. I felt like a housewife. I'm all into this, watching it. Oh, can you believe that? And the lawyer, the two lawyers he had, the guy makes some weird faces. I can't remember his name right now. And I was like, oh, he's hilarious. And then, I'm Hispanic. The Hispanic lawyer lady, she got all the credit. But I think he was the genius. And I was all in listening. I love that. Okay? And what happened was, she could tell her story, maybe believable. Didn't seem believable to me. But when she got cross-examined, everyone knew, Amber is kind of crazy. She might be pretty, but she's crazy. Even pretty gets old when you're crazy, right? So we have to tell the truth, testify about someone. When we testify about someone, it needs to be true. To tell ourselves a story about someone, we could tell, we jump to conclusions. We see something, we're like, that person, here's an example. Someone tells me, let's say you're having a good time at whatever activity you want to do, right? You're at some activity, you're at some restaurant, and you go there, and they post it on Instagram. You watch that there, and you say, they're sending me a message. You might not even have been in their mind. They're just enjoying life. They're enjoying a good taco somewhere, and you're upset because they're just sending me a message. That's ridiculous, but that's who we are, right? Yes or no? Is it just me? I'm that way sometimes. I don't know. So in church, in relationship, in your life group, and in your marriage, with your siblings, with everyone you work, co-workers, stop reading minds. Stop reading minds. You know why? Because the problem is that we have expectations, right? Like, there's unconscious expectations and unrealistic expectations. We have expectations of others who, if I see someone, let's say I see this guy, there happens to be someone 6'5" in the room, all right? But let's say I see a guy that walks in, he's 6'5", I'm immediately going to say, do you play basketball? Do you play basketball? Right? You always say, yeah, I do. I play basketball. Yeah. And or unrealistic expectations. When you get married, I was talking to some guy this week. He tells me, hey, you know what? I love being married, but I thought I was going to have a lot more intimacy. I thought it was going to be more often. But it just hasn't happened that way. Well, you need to have a conversation with your wife, because that is, you have unrealistic expectation about that relationship. It's just the way it is, right? So we have to learn to, there's things that you just think unconsciously. 6'5", plays basketball. Girl, when she marries me, we're going to be, all the time. No, right? So we have to learn how to do that. We have to learn to be respectful, all right. The Bible says, Matthew 7, it talks about judging, judge things. You got to judge things. It's important for us to kind of sit back and say, okay, why is she acting this way? Why am I acting this way? It's not a bad thing to judge the situation. You got to look at it and say, okay, why are we not communicating well? Maybe you have unrealistic expectations. Maybe you expected your man to have a better job by this time. Oh, he don't have a good job. And then he wants me to get naked. Have you ever remembered when someone said something, a lie about you? Has that ever happened to you? Someone said, oh, that guy, I can't. It feels horrible. When someone has made up a story about you, you feel horrible. Well, just think about it. Stop making up stories about others, right? So I always would remind Deborah, you can't read my mind, you can't read my mind. But as we get to know each other more, you get to figure out tendencies, right? Yeah. I know that making our bed makes Deborah happy. And sometimes I still don't make it. What a jerk, right? So you have to learn how to learn. So we should never assume you know what a person is thinking or feeling, right? We have stereotypes. Stereotypes are real, right? You have a stereotype. What's a good stereotype? A stereotype is thinking a group of people. Okay, here's one. A stereotype is, okay. Oh, tattoos. That's not as much as it used to be. Yeah, for my dad, if he saw someone with a tattoo, he was like, that guy just got out of the joint, man. Look at that guy. Don't be careful with him. He's probably just got out of jail. Well, that may not be true anymore, right? But people believe that. Stereotype, right? How many have tattoos? Raise your hand. That's all of us. Not you, Liberty? Yeah, it's not too late. It's not too late. How about my children? You guys have tattoos? Raise your hand. Too many. But anyway, my son, the other one is over there, he said, I want to get a little tattoo, Dad. Comes back with a big giant thing. I was like, anyway. So we all have stereotypes, and that's how we think, right? We start to think that way. Oh, yeah, like that person likes certain foods. Oh, all Mexican like spicy foods. I don't like spicy foods that much, but hey, you know. And so we have these stereotypes. Then we get prejudice thoughts. Prejudice is a feeling. A stereotype is you're just thinking, I think this way. When you start getting prejudice, you have a prejudice, you start feeling, that person, you know. Yeah, that person is we had a guy come here one day, a big old giant guy, and he was a black dude, and he just happens to be black. We live in Oak Cliff. There's black people here, right? And so, and the Mexicans, right? And so, and white people, we have them all here, except for Asians. And so he comes to the door, and people have asked me. I told the story, hey, this guy came, was he black? Because you know why? People not only have stereotypes, they have their prejudice. They think, so that's more of a feeling. Discrimination is an action. Because we could all have those first two, but when we start acting on it and saying things and being mean to other people, we are showing discrimination, right? It happens. The other day at my apartment, I was at the apartment, and they didn't do a good job in painting it. And so I went in there, and I happened to walk in, and there was a couple of ladies there dressed very nicely. Nice dressed nice. One lady was dressed really nice, and she was very attractive. So I just assumed she was the boss, right? That's I'm prejudiced. And so I looked at her. She's got style. That lady got style. I walk in, all Mexicans painting. Every person there, and there was a guy cleaning the floor, two guys cleaning the floor, and they were also Mexicans. So I walk in, and I said, hey, muchachos, buenos días. Buenos días. Hey, I started talking to them, and I was like, hey, and I asked the guy, hey, do you work? I asked him if he worked for the village or he works on the side because I always need a painter. And we're talking all in Spanish. You know, I'm a little mucho, but I'm me defiendo, right? So I'm there talking to the guys. The two ladies, one lady is the manager of the apartment. I've come to find out the other lady is the manager of all the apartments in all the village. She's the manager's boss's boss. And she just happens to be in my apartment. Doesn't acknowledge me, walks right by me, doesn't even, whatever. I don't know her either, right? And I say to the ladies, the two nice dressed ladies, ladies, good morning, how y'all doing? I greeted the Mexicans first, just because they were there first. Then the ladies were back there, and I said, hey, ladies, good morning, how y'all doing? Just checking out the workers. And one of the younger ladies says to me, hi, Mr. Cano. I said, hi. And she tells the other lady, I had already walked by her, but she was talking, so I didn't interrupt her. She says, oh, Mr. Cano. She said, Mr. Cano? Yes, this is going to be his apartment. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know. Well, should I be offended by that? No, I'm Hispanic. Everyone is Hispanic. We're speaking Spanish to each other. Why would I be offended? Because she thought I was a worker. But I wasn't offended. But I got her name down, and I'm going to pull that card out if I ever need it. And trust me, I have pulled it out. Hey, Becky, remember that time you thought I was one of the painters? And we moved to another apartment, $500. Waived it. Right, Deborah? Pulled that card out. Hey, tell Becky that Mr. Cano wants you to waive that. Okay. We do that every day. It's time that when we're in our life group that we stop doing those things. Let's get to know each other, to love each other. My family, this family here in the front row, obviously not Hispanic. We love you. Yeah. Gordon, obviously not Hispanic. You are Liberty. You can call yourself Liberty. You could, but you're Hispanic, right? You hear what I'm saying? We have to learn to be kind with each other, understand where everyone is coming from, and listen, we're changing the culture in our congregation. We're going to be a congregation that's not about those things anymore. We're about treating people respectfully, learning. We talked about love. We talked about life group. The life group is about us sharing life together. And we will not be able to share life together if I'm just stereotyping you, maybe even having a little prejudice against you. And for sure, we're not going to share life if I'm showing discrimination against you. And if we're going to be in life group, and we're going to be in life group, we can never assume we know what the person is thinking. Because we don't know what other people. I barely can figure out what Deborah's thinking about the stupid yogurt. How am I going to know someone that I've only been sharing life with for just a couple of weeks? 1 hour for 3 weeks. It takes time. So let's not give up. Let's focus in, and if you haven't signed up, I'd like you to sign up. So let's stop reading each other's minds. The problem is that we have many these expectations, unconscious expectations. We have expectations of others that we don't really know. We just think, oh, this person must feel this way because he is born. No, just because you're born in. The worst thing is, I was at CFNI one time, right? I was walking across the campus, and these three mostly white people walk up to me. Hey, sir. I said, yes. Is it hot in Mexico today? I don't know. I'm in Texas. Which at one time was Mexico. So yes, technically, I'm going to claim this state back from Mexico. What are you talking about? I don't know. Do you have a phone? Look it up. Don't be bothering me. Remember everyone? And we're like, I don't get it. It happens. I'm not sharing life with those dudes. When we share life together, we got to stop those things. We have to bring down our false expectations of each other. and realize, hey, this is what this person can give me, I'll take it. And if you don't meet that, if some people just don't give you that, you just have sometimes unrealistic expectations. They're just not reasonable. They're just not reasonable. We got to break that. And then there's things that are unclear because we haven't had the conversation. We haven't had this conversation. The other day, I had lunch with this guy named Adam. He's a missionary to Africa. So I said, hey, I want to take you to lunch. Let's have some tacos. Man, it's going to be awesome. And we go out, we go to taqueria, right? We're there, and I have my backpack with me, that backpack. I'm there, we order, and then it's time to pay. I look. I have no wallet. They don't take Apple Pay. I'm like, hey, buddy, it looks like you're buying me lunch. And we laughed it off, right? He's my friend. And we're becoming better friends, but that was not a good way to start. But I could have just said, hey, you pay, and nothing. I explained it. Hey, I thought I had my wallet, and we got in your car, we drove your car. My wallet's probably back in the car. I'm sorry. We had the conversation. Without the conversation, things break down quickly. Just have it. Okay? And so, when you have conversations, they're able to agree on things. When you're married to someone, you're able to have agreed upon things that you like. For example, now I know if I'm going to have the last bit of yogurt, the best thing for me to do is to go to tell my honey, hey, there's not that much yogurt in here, this Greek yogurt that you like a lot. Do you want it? Because if you're not, I'm going to eat it right now. See what I'm saying? Makes it clear. What's the big deal? It's just yogurt. It's just yogurt. And for me to, now I know if I finish it without telling her, she gets angry. So because I love her, we're going to have that conversation. And if it disappears, we can blame Seth. Even if it was me. All right? All right. So here we are, talking about all these things. It's super important. We have to have, all right, let's just go on. Let's start the sermon. That just kind of just talk. When someone doesn't meet expectations you have for them, and they kind of keep breaking it, you move them from potential friend to hopefully a friend. Just because someone, for example, there are some people that you say, let's have lunch, meet me at this place at 1 o'clock, and it's 1:45 and they're still not there. I find that offensive. Who else does? Yeah, because, or I think church starts at 10:30. It's good to be here before 10:30. Because I think you missed something good. You missed Eric's opening, whatever. But I like to be on time. Sometimes you get a flat tire, it happens, right? Oh, I'll give you an example. Deanna, raise your hand, Deanna. Deanna, I'm here, this building, right here. Me and my honey are here in this building. And Deanna calls me. It's weird, Deanna's calling me. Hello. And she's going to tell me something about, she has either two subjects. Number one, Dave Ramsey. That's her number one subject. Number two subject is the underground church in Iran. That's a new thing for her. And maybe she'll talk about her kids and last Jerry. But anyway, she calls me and says, hey, are you in Oak Cliff? Because, I don't live in Oak Cliff anymore. And I said, I am. I have a flat tire on the highway. Can you help me? So I go over there. She got no spare, no jack. I find out my jack is broken. I go buy a jack. I would get her tire. We take it to the tire shop. Because in Oak Cliff, we do have tire shops. And we get a tire. I take it back and fix it. It was how many hours, Deborah? 4 hours? It may be a 4-hour ordeal. maybe 3.5. 3 hours and 59 minutes. So the next day I was like, hey, you know what's weird, Deborah? Why did she call me? I'm thinking this. Where in the list was I on the phone call? I mean, she has a brother-in-law that lives here in Oak Cliff, I think. I don't think he lives here in Oak Cliff. She has cousins that live here in Oak Cliff, family members. She could call Eric, who's in their same age group, demographics. You know, she could have called Eric. Why is she calling the old guy? Think about it. So why? And I thought, she probably called like 7 people, and I was 8th. You know, I don't even know her. I don't know what I was like. And I was telling Deborah, why? And I was like, whatever. And then at the end, I thought, it was the 1st or the 10th. It was a blessing to serve. Right? And like, I don't care. I'm the pastor. I can't help you fix a flat tire. No. That's for that preacher that wears a white suit. And so I thought, man, you know, what a blessing I was that day for her. And then Jerry calls me, hey, I really appreciate it. I was like, Jerry, get a spare for your wife. The point is this. We have to make things clear, right? And if we don't make things clear, our brain can go on. But at the end of the day, when you choose to do things out of the love for the Lord, spending 3 hours fixing a flat tire ain't that big of a deal. And I was so blessed to do it. So blessed to do it. Right? I was blessed to do it. All right. So anyway, let's preach a sermon. I got 5 minutes to preach a sermon. All that to say this, to preach a sermon. Mark chapter 5, verse 21. When Jesus had crossed again in a boat to the other side, a great crowd gathered around him, and he was beside the sea. Then he came, one of the rulers in the synagogue named Jairus by name. Seeing him, he fell to his feet, implored him earnestly, saying, my little daughter is at the point of death. Come and lay hands on her so she might be made well and live. And he went with him. And so he went, okay, let's go. But Jesus was a rock star, right? He was healing people. For this man to go to Jesus and a ruler of the synagogue, he was like, man, I'm desperate. My daughter's about to die. We're desperate. And he says, okay, what we're going to do is that we're going to go talk to this guy, Jesus. I know he's controversial, but we're going to go and talk to him. And he goes, my little daughter is at the point of death. Come, lay your hands on her so she be made well and live. He knew it was tremendous amount of faith. And the crowd followed him, and there were just a bunch of people, and he's walking. And then in verse 28 says, what happened was Jesus is walking, a bunch of crowd, he's walking, he's just chilling with his people, and a lady reaches out and touches him. A lady who had been on her period for many years. So she needed a miracle. It wasn't just a few days, a week. It was years. How many years? 12 years. She needed a miracle. Her husband needed a miracle. Her family needed a miracle. And he says, if you touch, for sure, she said, if I even touch his garments, I will be made well. I just need to touch. I just need to touch, not him, just his clothes. All I need to do is touch his clothes, and I'll receive healing. So 2 people needing a miracle, going to Jesus for a miracle. They had expectations. Their expectations was, if I could touch him, I can get healed. Or if he could touch my daughter, then she could get healed. And he goes over there, he touches her. And he goes, hey, yo, who touched me? Hey, Jesus, there's a bunch of people here. A lot of people are trying to touch you. No. Someone touched me. And he says, who touched my garments? He basically says, the power came out of me when someone touched me. And verse 34 says, 5:30 says, who touched my garments? Verse 34 in chapter 5 says, daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace. And be healed of your disease. He goes, man, there's something going on in there that's wrong, that's broken inside of you, that's causing you to have this blood issue for 12 years. And you know what? It's a disease. And now it's gone because you touched me in faith. Your faith has made you well. Go in peace. Can you imagine what she felt? The embarrassment, because back in that culture, if you were on your period, you weren't even allowed outside. Let's stay home, girl. Because they didn't have fancy stuff, before they invented any of that stuff. And so what happens is she's like, no, but she broke the norm, went out and touched Jesus. And she received a healing. Can you imagine the feeling she had? Can you imagine the fear of hearing someone say, she reached out and touched him, and then he says, whoa, who touched me? Yes, someone touched me. And her knowing it was her. Me. What's up? Why you touch me like that, girl? You know why? She was desperate. And she received her healing. Okay, and while he was still speaking with her, they dealt with her going on, and then while they were speaking to her, there came someone from the ruler's house who said, your daughter is dead. How insensitive is that? Hey, your daughter's dead. I remember I received a phone call in the early in the morning one morning. Oh, it was so insensitive. Remember, you know the story, Deborah? I leaned over and I woke Deborah up. Hey, yeah, Grandpa's dead. And I was like, I should have said better. I should have waken up. Hey, I just feel so bad for just saying it like that. Hey, Grandpa's dead. She's crying. I was like, maybe I should. I always think about that. It's so insensitive of me. Hey, your daughter's dead. Why trouble the teacher any further? But overhearing, verse 36 is overhearing what he said, Jesus said to the ruler of the synagogue, hey, do not fear, only believe. Check it out, verse 39. And when he entered, he said, you're making all this commotion and weeping. He gets there. He goes, you're making all this commotion and weeping. What's the big deal here? This child is not dead, but asleep. And little girl wakes up. He had expectation too. He had an expectation for a healing, but what he got was a resurrection. He says, little girl, I say to you, arise. And she got up, man. He just wanted a healing, but he got himself a resurrection. Hallelujah. All of us, we carry disappointment. When we come to church, we have life. We carry disappointment when things didn't turn out the way it should have. When you think you should have had 5 kids and you had 4, or you wanted 1 and you had 5, or you didn't get the job, or the promotion didn't come your way, or by this time, I would have had in a different place. I would have had a career, not just a job. We all have disappointments. And people even have this misunderstanding or a false sense of expectation when it comes to God. When it comes to God, you feel like, oh man, by now everything should be perfect. And it is not, so God must not be real. Or maybe he loves that person more than he loves me. Life didn't turn out the way I wanted it. And so what happens is that you have this feeling, and you're angry, and you're not growing in your faith because you've built up these, how we do it with each other. False expectations. You jump to conclusions about God that they're not there. And it's broken down relationships here on this planet. But we also do the same thing when we have those type of relationships with God. When we tell God, by this time, I should have already been a multimillionaire, but I'm not. So you must not love me. My children are acting a fool. You must not love me. And he's telling us, I want you to know that you want a healing, but I'm going to give you a resurrection. That you're carrying disappointment, but I want you to know I'll put that on me and I'll carry that for you. I want you to know that it doesn't matter. We need to get along better. We need to work on getting along better. There's nothing wrong with going to counseling and getting good advice and reading Pete Cicero. There's nothing wrong with those things. We need those things. But ladies and gentlemen, we also need, more than anything, to get along with Jesus. And it sounds so religious and so, cliches. Oh, No. We need to work on our relationship with Jesus. And ladies and gentlemen, that does not happen by accident. Deborah and I were talking about how it's not enough just to come to church. I need someone in my life that's going to help me, walk with me, share with me stuff. Hey man, buddy, the way you reacted with that person was a little inappropriate. You need to apologize or whatever, right? And not think that I'm above that. Not to think that excuse me. I'm the pastor. I can't go fix your flat. How dare you ask me to fix the flat? No. It's about going and telling the Lord, here I am, Lord. Here I am. I'm here to help my brother grow in the relationship with God. And I want my brother not only to grow in the relationship with God, I want to grow in my relationship with God. I'll never be the person that God wants me to be outside of community. I will never be the person that God wants me to be outside having a strong community of people helping me and walking through this. And I want to encourage you guys to join a community group, a life group, a group that's going to help you and disciple you and love you. There's nothing wrong with having a mentor. Someone in your life sharing with you, telling you the truth. Here's a question. Do you want to grow in your relationship with Jesus? Because if you don't, you won't. But if you do, you'll do things that will help you grow in your relationship with Jesus. Like you'll read your Bible more. You'll talk to people. You'll be open and honest about your struggle. And I want people to like me, so I act this way. I want people, and he's like, you know what, Lord, I want you to like me. I can't be fake. I can be real.